Before we start, just a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. Only 2% are subscribed at 1,000 subscribers. I'll be posting a special video. My mom yanked my ring hand toward her without warning. Her nails bit my skin and she held on tight. Claire took a half step back like she got slapped. The coordinator kept smiling until she could not. I'm Ethan, I'm 34, and I should have pulled away sooner. I acted polite first because that is my reflex. My mom knows that reflex and she uses it. She lifted my hand higher like she was presenting evidence. Cute choice, she muttered, eyes locked on the ring. Her thumb rubbed the metal like it was dirty. Claire's fingers reached for mine and stopped midair. That tiny pause felt louder than any yelling. I tried to steer everyone toward the ballroom doors. My mom stepped in front of me and blocked the path. She angled her body so Claire had to look at her. It was a challenge dressed up as concern. You're really doing this, she said, mouth barely moving. Claire offered a small hello and got nothing back. My mom's stare jumped from Claire to my chest. Then her face tightened like she smelled smoke. I kept my voice steady and asked her to stop. My mom's grip tightened and my wrist popped once. I laughed in a weird way and hated myself. Claire's eyes flicked to my hand like she was counting bruises. My mom leaned closer and lowered her voice on purpose. You're a monster, she breathed like it was prayer. The coordinator pretended to check her tablet and failed. Claire went still and that scared me more than anger. I swallowed and tried a joke that went nowhere. My mom cut it off with a sharp look. How fast did you replace Maya? She asked, calm and flat. Claire's throat bobbed once like she was holding something back. I felt heat rush up my neck and I hated that too. I wanted to say you do not get to say her name. Instead I said, give me my hand back. My mom smiled like I proved her point. Her fingers slid down to the ring and stopped there. She twisted it once, then pulled it free in one move. My brain stalled for a second like it lost power. Claire made a small sound and covered it with a cough. I stepped forward and she held the ring up between us. The metal caught the overhead light and flashed hard. You do not deserve that, she murmured, eyes bright. Then she closed her fist and hid it like a theft. The coordinator finally spoke, voice tight with panic. Ma'am, we can continue the tour if you'd like. My mom did not even glance at her. She looked at me and asked, did you tell her everything? My mouth opened and nothing came out right away. Claire turned toward me slowly, waiting for an answer. I shook my head once because I honestly did not know. My mom nodded like she won a bet. She took one step back and lifted her phone. I have Maya's last words, she said, sweet and sharp. Claire's face drained fast and she stared at the screen. My mom tucked the phone away and walked toward the exit. I followed because I could not follow. Claire trailed behind us with careful steps. My mom pushed the lobby door open and stopped outside. She did not turn around when she asked, want proof? My mom slapped her trunk lid and the latch popped. She didn't look at me when she reached inside. Claire hovered a few steps away, hands tucked tight. I stood there like a kid, waiting for punishment again. My mom dragged out a taped box and dropped it hard. The sound made Claire jump and I hated that. I bent toward it on instinct, then stopped myself. You ever freeze because moving feels like confessing? Open it, my mom pushed out, chin lifted. I stared at the tape like it could bite. Claire's eyes flicked to me, then away fast. I could feel my pulse climbing into my throat. I crouched and my mom put her shoe on the lid. Not a stomp, just pressure like a warning. Don't act shocked, her mouth curled, almost pleased. My hands hovered and I couldn't pick a side. Claire stepped closer and touched my elbow once. That touch meant I'm here but I'm watching. My mom noticed it and her nostrils flared. Then she kicked the box toward Claire like a dare. Claire didn't pick it up. She looked at my mom, then at me, steady. You want him to open it, her voice stayed low. My mom's eyes narrowed like she found the weak spot. Of course I do, my mom snapped, quick and clean. She pulled something from her coat pocket and waved it. Keys, mine, I didn't even feel them go missing. That made my skin prickle. What else had she lifted? I reached for the keys and she pulled them back. Not until you listen, she warned, almost calm. Claire's jaw set and she shifted her weight forward. My mom pointed at my chest like a prosecutor. You think you can start over, she pushed, voice clipped. I started to argue and my tongue stuck. Part of me wanted to deny it like a reflex. Another part wanted to scream, because yes, I want that. I peeled the tape anyway, slow and shaky. My mom leaned in, watching every inch of movement. Claire held her breath like she knew what was coming. The lid lifted and my stomach sank before my eyes did. There were cards and photos stacked like a trap. I didn't touch them because touching felt like stealing. My mom tapped the pile twice, sharp little hits. "Look at what you left behind," she hissed, satisfied. Claire stared at the top photo and went rigid. I saw her swallow, then blink too fast. My mom watched her reaction more than my face. Like Claire's pain was the prize. I tried to push the box back into the trunk. My mom caught my wrist and forced it still. "Don't hide it," her voice turned syrupy, fake sweet. Claire lifted her palm between us, a quiet stop sign. My mom's other hand slipped into the box again. She pulled out a hospital bracelet and held it up. I flinched so hard my shoulder popped. I hate that my body answered before my brain could. Claire's eyes widened, then hardened right after. She didn't ask questions yet, which scared me. My mom let the bracelet dangle and watched it swing. Then she looked at me like I owed her tears. "You remember this day?" she pressed, soft and sharp. I nodded once because lying felt useless. I wanted to say, "You weren't even there." But I didn't say it, and that silence cost me. My mom slid the bracelet back and pulled out her phone. She didn't unlock it at first, she just held it. That pause was deliberate, like she was loading a gun. Claire's gaze locked onto the screen, waiting. My mom finally tapped play and turned the volume low. A woman's voice leaked out, thin and tired. Claire's hand flew to her mouth, then dropped. I felt my knees go loose because I knew that voice. My mom kept her eyes on me while it played. Not on the phone, not on Claire, just me. Her expression said, "See, I kept her close." My chest tightened and I hated myself for shaking. I stepped toward the phone and my mom pulled it away. "Not so eager now," she sneered, enjoying it. Claire's fingers curled into a fist at her side. The air between us felt like it could snap. "Stop using her," I managed, and my voice cracked. My mom's lips twitched like she tasted blood. "You used her first," she fired back, no hesitation. Claire stared at me like that line landed somewhere real. I tried to speak and nothing came out clean. My mom waved the phone again, slow and taunting. "You want the rest," she murmured like a bargain. I hated that she was right. Did I want it? Claire took one step toward my mom, careful and controlled. "Give him his keys," she demanded, eyes steady. My mom laughed once, short and mean. "Who are you to command me?" she shot back, sharp. Claire didn't blink. "I'm the person marrying him," she said, voice firm. My mom's smile faded like a mask slipping off. Then my mom glanced at my bare finger, like she loved the gap. She held the keys up and shook them once. Metal clinked and it felt like a leash. "Pick," she said, eyes bright with challenge. Her comfort or Maya's truth, which one matters more? I snatched the keys, not gentle at all. My mom didn't fight me, she wanted the grab. Claire inhaled hard, like she'd been underwater. My mom leaned close and whispered, "Drive away and you prove me right," and I knew she meant it. Claire slammed my passenger door harder than normal. I gripped the wheel and kept my eyes forward. My mom stood by her trunk like a referee. Her mouth shaped one last word: monster. I drove off fast because staying felt impossible. Claire didn't speak right away, and that silence hurt. I wanted to fill it with excuses and jokes. Instead, I swallowed them all and listened to the tires. At the first red light, Claire lifted her left hand. Her fingers hovered near my bare ring finger. She didn't touch it, which somehow felt worse. Then she asked, "Do you still want to marry me?" My throat tightened and I nodded too quickly. Claire's stare held on my face like a test. I tried to look confident, and I probably looked guilty. She looked away like she decided something without me. When we got home, Claire went straight to the kitchen. She set her phone on the counter and slid it over. Her nail tapped the screen twice, controlled and slow. "Look," she said, and her voice sounded older. It was a text thread from a number I knew. Not the digits, but the shape in my head. The contact name was Maya's, and my stomach flipped. "You ever see something and feel your brain reject it?" The newest message sat at the bottom like a dare. "He will move on fast, watch him." Claire's hand stayed flat beside the phone. She didn't blink while she waited for my reaction. I laughed once, ugly and sharp, then stopped. I hated that sound coming out of me. "That can't be real," I muttered too fast. Claire's eyebrows lifted like I insulted her intelligence. She scrolled up with 2 fingers and turned the screen again. More messages showed up, time stamped after Maya died. My mouth went dry and I pressed my tongue to my teeth. Claire whispered, "Explain how that's possible." I tried to speak and my words tripped over each other. I went for logic first because panic is embarrassing. Numbers get recycled, I blurted, then regretted it. Claire's lips tightened because that excuse sounded lazy. She swiped again and stopped on a message with a photo. It was a screenshot of my old social post. The caption line was circled in red with shaky marks. Claire looked up and asked who would do that. I stared at the circles and felt heat flood my face. I wanted to say, my mom would never go that far. But my body remembered the missing keys too well. So I said nothing, which felt like a confession. Claire slid the phone back and folded her arms tight. "I'm not doing this blind," she said, voice even. I nodded like a good student, and that made me mad. I hated that I had trained myself to accept being handled. I reached for my own phone and called my mom. It rang twice, then stopped, then rang again. She didn't pick up, which was its own message. Claire watched my screen like it might bite her next. I grabbed my keys and headed for the door. Claire moved with me without asking, shoes already on. Her hand brushed my elbow again, quick and firm. That touch said, "I'm not leaving you alone with her." We pulled up outside my mom's place and cut the engine. I sat there a second too long, fighting my instincts. Claire's fingers tightened on her phone, knuckles pale. Then she pushed her door open first like she was done waiting. My mom opened the front door before we knocked. She wore my ring on a thin chain at her neck. She let it rest against her shirt like a trophy. Claire's eyes locked on it and her face went hard. I stepped forward and held out my hand. "Give it back," I said, voice low and cracked. My mom tilted her head, pretending to be confused. Her eyes flicked toward Claire like she was measuring her. Claire lifted her phone and angled the screen outward. "No games," she said, and her voice didn't shake. My mom's smile sharpened, then softened into fake sympathy. "Oh honey," she breathed, and that tone made my skin crawl. "You texted her," Claire pushed, and her finger jabbed the screen. My mom's gaze dropped to the messages, then lifted fast. She didn't look surprised, which told me everything. Then she laughed, small and bitter, like we were stupid. "That number was hers," my mom murmured, eyes bright. She touched the chain and let the ring slide between 2 fingers. "I kept it safe, I kept all of it safe." Claire's jaw clenched like she was holding herself back. I stepped closer and my mom raised her palm at my chest. Not a shove, just a boundary, like I was a stranger. "You don't get to rush grief," she warned, voice calm. Claire snapped, "You don't get to impersonate the dead," and my mom didn't flinch. My mom reached behind her hip and pulled out a phone. She held it up for half a second, then tucked it away. That flash was enough to freeze my lungs. Claire's eyes widened because she saw it too. "You went through her things," I muttered, and my voice sounded hollow. My mom shrugged like it was normal maintenance. "I protected her from being forgotten," she said, lips tight. Claire stepped forward and asked, "By poisoning him?" My mom's stare slid to me and pinned me there. "Tell her what you promised Maya," she pressed, soft and sharp. My heart kicked hard because I knew what she meant. I also knew I had never promised that, not once. Claire turned toward me, slow and careful. Her eyes asked a question she didn't want answered. I swallowed and forced out, "I never made that promise." My mom smiled anyway, like truth didn't matter here. She lifted the chain and let the ring dangle again. "You want it back," she whispered, almost gentle. "Then you listen, you stop pretending this is normal." Claire's hand slid into mine, and my mom watched that grip like she planned to break it. I darted past my mom and hooked my fingers toward that phone. She snapped it back and her elbow hit the doorframe. Claire slid between us, shoulders squared, eyes steady. My mom's hand trembled for half a second, then steadied. "Give it to me," I pushed out, voice rough. My mom tipped her chin up and smiled like a dare. "You only want the parts that flatter you," she shot back. Claire lifted her palm again, a quiet line in the air. My mom turned her head toward the hallway like she heard something. It was fake, I know it was fake now. She took 2 steps away and loosened her grip without thinking. My body moved before my pride could stop it. I snatched the phone and stepped back hard. My mom spun, eyes wide then sharp. Claire shifted closer to my side, feet planted. The three of us froze like someone yelled cut except nobody did. The screen lit up and my thumb hovered over the lock. I hesitated because it felt wrong even then. But my mom had already crossed every line available. So I typed the only code she wrote. Old pick, a date she never forgot. It unlocked and my stomach clenched fast. I went straight to the messages because I needed clean facts. Claire leaned in, breath shallow, not touching me. My mom's nails scraped the wall behind us, slow and angry. The thread with Maya's name sat there like a loaded trap. I scrolled and my thumb started shaking. The timestamps jumped out at me, not the words. They kept going after she was gone, like somebody kept her alive on paper. Claire pointed at one line and swallowed hard. It mentioned a song Maya hated, which felt deliberate. My mom's voice came from behind us, almost sing-song. She had opinions, I remembered them, and that made my skin crawl. I switched to the sent folder and my heart dropped. There were messages written in my mom's phrasing. Short digs, clean guilt, little twists of the knife. Claire's lips parted and no sound came out. I opened one and read it twice, slow. It blamed me for letting her go, like I decided it alone. My stomach turned because that was my mom talking. But it also hit a sore spot I never fully shut down, so it worked. I heard my own voice in my head, defensive and tired. I wanted to tell Claire everything at once. That impulse scared me because it meant I was panicking. So I forced my hands to keep scrolling, one thing at a time. There were drafts too, not just sent lines. Some were unfinished, like she stopped mid-thought. One started with, "If you loved me you would," and ended blank. Claire's eyes narrowed like she finally saw the pattern. I tapped the call log and my throat tightened again. My mom had called Maya's number over and over. Not once, not twice, a whole string like a ritual. Then I saw calls to my number right after, like she was syncing moods. Claire took the phone from my hands, careful. She didn't yank it, she didn't snatch power. She just held it like something sharp. Then she turned the screen toward my mom and waited. My mom's face twitched just once. It was small, but it was real. She shrugged right after, too casual to be honest. "So what?" Her mouth curled and she acted bored. "You pretended to be her," Claire pressed, voice steady. My mom spread her fingers like she was offering logic. "I protected him from rushing," she countered, eyes locked on me. That phrasing hit me hard because she used my grief like a leash. I took the phone back and went into voice memos. My hands felt clumsy, like I was wearing gloves. There were files labeled with dates, neat and cold. One was named "Last Words," and my chest tightened before I tapped it. The audio played and I recognized the breath first. It was her, but it wasn't the moment my mom claimed. The clip cut off too clean, like someone trimmed it. Claire's gaze flicked to me fast, because she heard the cut too. I paused it and played it again from the start. Same clean edge, same abrupt stop. My mom watched my face, not the speaker. She wanted my reaction more than she wanted the truth. "You edited it," I muttered, and my voice sounded thin. My mom's eyes widened, then hardened. "I cleaned it up," she snapped, like that made it fine. Claire's shoulders lifted with anger, then settled into something colder. I dug deeper and found another recording below it. It was longer, messy, unpolished, and real. My thumb hovered because part of me feared hearing it. But I hit play anyway because fear is not a plan. The longer clip started with hospital noise and a shaky laugh. Then a faint voice tried to say my name and failed. My vision blurred for a second and I hated myself for blinking. Claire's fingers tightened around my wrist like she was anchoring me. My mom made a small sound behind us, sharp and annoyed. "Turn it off," she warned, and her voice finally cracked. That crack was the first honest thing she'd shown. I kept the audio running anyway, because I needed the whole wound. The voice in the recording didn't say anything about replacing her. It didn't curse me, it didn't blame me. It tried to say "I love you" and it got stuck. Then it said one clear phrase: "Don't let her make this about her." Claire's eyes snapped to my mom like a whip. My mom went pale, then furious. She lunged for the phone and Claire stepped in front. My mom's hands curled into claws, then dropped when she saw Claire wouldn't move. I backed away and held the phone to my chest. I felt sick because I should have known my mom would twist it. I also felt relief, and that relief made me ashamed. Because relief meant I had been doubting the dead, and that's a brutal feeling. My mom pointed at me, arm stiff. You think you're innocent, she hissed, voice low. Claire's head tilted, eyes sharp like she was tracking a lie. My mom's mouth tightened, then she fired her next shot. You signed the paper, she snapped, savoring each word. The air went heavy and my stomach sank. Claire's gaze slid to me, slow and careful. I didn't answer fast enough, Wick. H was its own answer. My mom saw that hesitation and smiled, nasty and quick. That's what he hides, her voice turned triumphant. Claire didn't yell, she didn't cry, she just watched me. And in that quiet, my mom finally had what she wanted. I knocked my glass too hard and the room snapped quiet. Claire's fingers pressed my knee under the table. My mom paused mid-bite like she sensed a shift. I stood up anyway, because sitting felt like surrender. My throat tried to close, so I started with facts. I need everyone to hear this before we eat. A few cousins laughed, then stopped when nobody joined. My mom's eyes tracked me like I was a suspect. I pulled my device from my pocket and unlocked it. Claire slid her chair back, ready to move fast. My mom's hand drifted toward her purse, slow and practiced. That motion told me she brought ammunition. Don't do this, my mom warned, voice low. She smiled at the table right after like she was fine. That switch made my stomach twist. You ever watch someone flip masks in one breath? I turned the screen toward my aunt first, not my mom. If you're going to judge me, judge the whole story. My aunt leaned in, eyes narrowing, then blinked hard. My mom's fork froze halfway to her mouth. Claire rose beside me and held her own phone up. She didn't wave it around, she just held it steady. Her calm made me braver than I deserved. My mom's gaze darted between us like she counted exits. I opened the messages and scrolled to the sent folder. A cousin across the table sucked in a quick breath. My mom shifted her chair back an inch, ready to bolt. I felt my hands shake, so I braced them on the table. These were sent from Maya's number after she died. I kept my voice flat because emotion would derail it. My mom's lips parted, then sealed, then parted again. She looked at my aunt like she wanted backup. My aunt lifted a hand, palm down, a silent command. Linda, let him finish. My mom's jaw tightened and she leaned back. Her eyes stayed on me, cold and unblinking. I tapped one message and read it out loud. It accused me of moving on like I was shopping. A cousin whispered, "That's messed up," and covered her mouth. My mom's smile twitched, then returned like glue. Those lines match my mom's writing, I added. I hated myself for even needing to say that. My mom lifted her shoulders in a tiny shrug. Like the theft was petty, not cruel. Claire reached over and scrolled to the drafts. She paused on an unfinished one and tilted the screen. It started with a gilt hook and stopped mid-sentence. The room felt tighter because everyone could fill in the rest. My mom pushed her plate away and wiped her mouth. All of you are letting him perform, she snapped. Her voice rose just enough to look injured. Then she looked at me and aimed for my softest spot. Tell them what you signed, she cut in loud. The table went still, even the server stopped moving. Claire didn't look at me, which somehow helped. It forced me to choose my words, not my panic. I nodded once and felt my face heat up. I signed the DNR paperwork as her legal proxy. A cousin frowned like she didn't know what that meant. My mom's eyes lit up, like she finally had a weapon. She killed her, my mom threw out, pointing at me. A gasp popped from somewhere near the end of the table. My stomach dropped because that accusation sticks. It sticks even when it's wrong. I forced my hands to stay open, not clenched. No, I followed what Maya had already decided. My mom barked a laugh, sharp and ugly. She leaned forward like she planned to eat me alive. Claire stepped closer and touched my elbow quick. Tell it straight, her voice stayed steady. That steadiness mattered because I was wobbling. So I did the thing I avoided for years. I pulled up the longer audio file and held it out. My mom's face tightened before I even hit play. That reaction told the table everything they needed. I pressed play anyway because hiding was over. The recording caught ragged breathing and a weak laugh. Then Maya's voice came through, strained but clear enough. It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't poetic, it was real. It said one line that made my mom flinch. Don't let her make this about her. That was it, no curse, no accusation. A cousin exhaled like she had been holding air. My mom's eyes snapped toward the door like flight finally sounded smart. My aunt leaned forward, voice calm but hard. Linda, why did you keep this hidden? My mom opened her mouth then shut it fast. She stared at the tablecloth like it might save her. My mom tried to pivot because that's her talent. He's twisting it, he's always been good at that. I felt anger surge, then fade into something colder. Because she was right about one thing I twist too. I twist my own story to survive it. I minimize what hurts and inflate what makes me look decent. But this time the proof sat in my palm. And my mom knew ITW. Hitch made her desperate. She stood up so fast her chair scraped loud. Fine, you want truth, here's truth. She jabbed a finger at my chest and shook it. You ran from grief and found a replacement. Claire's head turned toward my mom, slow and sharp. Say my name, not your insult, she snapped. My mom's mouth curled, then she smirked. That smirk was the same one from the venue. I felt something in me finally break clean. Not a collapse, more like a decision locking in. I'm done letting you grade my morning, I said. My mom's eyes widened because that line cut her control. She leaned in and lowered her voice, meant for me. She would hate you for this. My hand stayed steady, which shocked even me. She'd hate what you did with her voice, I answered, and my mom stiffened. My mom's shoulders rose, then dropped in a quick twitch. She looked around the table, searching for an ally. Nobody moved toward her, nobody softened. That silence hit her harder than yelling. My aunt cleared her throat and nodded toward the exit. Linda, go cool off. My mom stared at her like she got betrayed. Then her gaze slid to me, full of warning. She stepped closer and reached for the chain at her neck. The wedding band dangled there, still hers for the moment. You want this back, she whispered like a bribe. I held my hand out and didn't say a word. My mom hesitated, then dropped it into my palm. Her fingers brushed mine and she squeezed once hard. That squeeze wasn't love, it was ownership trying to linger. I pulled my hand back and closed my fist. Claire exhaled like she had been bracing for impact. My mom's eyes flicked to Claire's hand on my arm. Her lips pressed into a thin line, almost shaking. Then she turned and walked out, fast and stiff. The door shut and the whole room breathed again. Somebody muttered Jesus, like a prayer and a curse. I stood there holding the band like it weighed a ton. And then the hardest part arrived. Claire's eyes on me. She didn't ask if my mom lied. She asked why did she get that close to us. I swallowed and nodded because that was fair. I had let my mom camp inside my grief for too long. I set the band on the table between Claire and me. I kept thinking I could manage her, I admitted. My voice cracked and I hated that weakness. Claire's gaze didn't soften, not yet. My aunt reached across the table and took my hand. You did what you had to do, she said quietly. Then she looked at Claire with steady eyes. He's been carrying guilt like a leash, can you see that? Claire stared at the band, then at my face. I can see it, she said, voice tight. But I won't marry a man who lets his mother punish him. That sentence hit me like a slap, and I needed it. I nodded again, slower this time, like a promise. You're right, I said, and I meant it. I pulled my phone out and started typing with shaking thumbs. My mom's name sat at the top of my contacts, waiting. Claire watched my screen and didn't stop me. I sent one text, short and clear. Do not contact us, do not show up uninvited. My finger hovered over send, then pressed final. My stomach lurched right after, because boundaries feel like betrayal. But I looked at Claire and kept my voice steady. I'll change the locks tonight, I said. Claire nodded, once still guarded but present. A cousin tried to lighten the mood with a joke. Nobody laughed, and I was grateful for that. This wasn't a moment for comfort. It was a moment for consequences, finally. I turned to the table and forced myself to keep standing. If you want to know me, ask me directly. I glanced at my aunt, then at the others. And if she tries to rewrite this, don't help her. The server approached, eyes wide, and paused. I waved him off with a small shake of my head. My appetite was gone, and so was my patience. Claire touched my hand, brief and real, like a cautious yes. When we walked to the car, my phone buzzed once. A new message preview flashed across the screen. It was from my mom, and it was only 5 words. You'll regret choosing her, it read like a promise.